Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are about to experience another full moon in another couple of days. I believe it is on April 6th at 12:34 Eastern Time AM. And many times when there's a new moon, people are a little different. And that's what a lot of us will say. I've seen it being scientifically proven. I want to learn all about this now from somebody who is a spiritualist, a clairvoyant medium. She's back with us. She has so much insight. Donna Edwards is back on the program with us. Hi, Donna. How you doing?
Good, Steve. How are you this morning?
I'm good. It's funny. Over the
Good.
years, when there's a full moon, I do notice that people act a little differently. And I don't want to read into it, but is there something going on as a whole among people when there's a full moon?
Well, I would say that it is. And the reason that I can say this is because at the full moon, that means that all spirits are walking. So whether they're positive, negative, whatever, they're all out there and there's movement with that. So let's say, for instance, if someone has erratic behavior when there's not a full moon,
Hmm.
usually it intensifies that behavior when that moon is full. At one point in time in my life, I worked in a police station. And I can guarantee you at that time when that moon was full, there was all kinds of crazies coming in. So it does have an effect because it's a spirit and it causes some chaotic forces with certain people. Not everybody, but a lot of people it does.
What do you think's actually going on? Some say it's the tides and the pulling of the that going on. Do you think it's an energy thing? It's a spiritual thing? What's actually happening?
Well, because I deal with energy, is spirit to me. So it's all coincided. So I want to say it's a spiritual thing. I'm not saying that the tides don't have anything to affect, but I think the tides have more effect on the nature, the ectoplasm, that type of thing. But as far as on that full moon, it's the energy level. So if people's energy is low, they're probably picking up lower spirits. And so it's causing effect with them. Those that may be at a higher level spiritually, the full moon may not take as much effect on them. So they may be able to operate in another arena with that full moon.
Working in a police headquarters or a police environment, you guys over there must have talked about that a lot whenever the full moon was coming around. What are some of the things that you experienced?
Well, I remember with a lot of the officers, they would hate when the full moon was coming, because you have an increase in calls,
Yeah.
just an increase in everything. Where there's accidents, people are just off kilter. So it's a lot of just that type of energy. And it takes a while, even though that moon is full on a particular time and a particular day, the moon is 10 days after that moon is full, it still causes an effect. So it's not completely over with. It's 10 days ahead, 10 days after. So by the time that new moon comes, we're in about almost 30 days for a change in the shift. So they don't have time. Let's say if someone is mentally sick, they don't have enough time to actually come from the full effect of that full moon because it's 10 days ahead, 10 days after.
Wow. It almost sounds like a Mercury retrograde situation where there's a pre-phase and a post-phase.
Yes, you could say that. Hmm.
Hmm. Wow. What's your advice for people? We can't do anything about it. The moon's going to change. It's going to happen. Be aware of it. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's what I wanted to kind of discuss today. Since we're coming up on that full moon, I would like the full moon does help people. And this is where I think they need that added information to kind of work with that moon. And then by the time the new moon comes up, they can see if they see anything at that point in time. But let's say it's a novice and the full moon is getting ready to come up. So it's certain things that they have to prepare themselves in order to get ready for this full moon. So most people meditate, so we can speak on that and say meditation comes into play. um, some people cast different things out depending on what they do on a spiritual level. But the thing is that you want to prepare yourself for the full moon so you can get the full effect of that moon. So for someone like me, I'm not a good example because I work with the moon all my life. But someone that's a novice, they could possibly like get ready this evening. So in other words, they could cleanse themselves, prepare themselves spiritually, and they could do some meditation. So by the time the fifth, at depending on what time zone you're in, midnight comes, that moon is full. If they can go outside to cast their petition, to look at that moon and put their petition on that moon at that point in time, that's going to help. If their concentration is low, let's say they need a little extra help, I think the best way to work with the full moon is to light a candle, because that way you don't have to constantly keep talking to the spirit, which is, all spiritual bodies in the heavens are spiritual beings, depending on the planets. They're all spiritual beings. So someone that doesn't know how to keep that concentration there, I would suggest that they light a candle. And on that candle, what you want to do is bless that candle first. And I would suggest a 7-day candle. So that means that that's one in the glass. And then you're going to write your petition on a piece of parchment paper. And you're going to take that petition and you're going to wrap it around that candle. So in other words, you don't have to keep concentrating on the petition. The petition is already placed on the candle, and the candle is going to help do the work for you. So that's a little bit easier for those who can't concentrate too much. But I think the more you work with that, the better you get with it. Of course, with anything.
So it sounds to me, Donna, like it's the intention that you put out there.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
And so that's why I'm saying that if a person decides to say, hey, I'm going to try this, I've never tried this before, and they actually put that petition on that candle and leave that candle burning, don't blow it out, because if you blow it out, you blow out what your petition is, and just leave it there. And say it does burn out after the 7 days, you can always get another candle and light it again and put the same petition on it. By the time the new moon comes, actually, that's when you should start seeing the changes or whatever you ask for. It can cause an effect at that point in time. Now, I'm not going to say this is going to work overnight, because if it's a novice person, they've never done this before, it may take 2 full moons or, 2 new moons in order to see if what they're asking for. But I can say this, if they're new, they may get a sign right away because of the fact that they're new. But after that first sign that they do get, it may take another month or 2 before another sign is going to come, because what spirit likes to do is to get your attention. And so they'll give you the sign to say that I've heard your petition, I'm getting ready to answer it, or whatever it is. But then on that next one, you intentionally have to work to get the next answer, because they won't give it to you. You got to kind of like earn it. So that's basically how that kind of works.
How about for you, when you're doing readings, working with people, and now you have the full moon, does it amp up the energy? Does it change things for you?
No, because I'm already magnified most of the time. So I don't have any lows. So if I'm doing a reading for someone and I know that their energy is probably not as high as mine anyway, and they need help with something, and I know that they need that help, that's where the casework comes in. I'll take the situation on myself and work with it and straighten it out for them and let them know. I may tell them that I'm going to fix it for them, and I may not. It just depends. But most of the time, if it's something I see that is serious, they need help with, I know they can't do it, I'll just do it.
So you're saying that you'll set that intention for them, you'll put it in motion?
Yes.
Wow. Would they need to tell you what their intentions are, what their goals are, or is that something that you can pick up on?
No, normally I'll pick up on it. Some people are hesitant about actually saying what the situation is. They're afraid to disclose that. But most of the time in my messages, I just bring it out up front. So let's address it, because it's hard to work spiritually when there's something hanging in the balance, because we need to address it in order to heal and to move forward. So I don't waste any time with that, because that's a waste of energy for me. It's a waste of their time. And I don't like to waste time, because spirit doesn't allow me to waste time. They're very strict with me.
They have Donna on a short leash, it sounds like.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. How about moving from the moon for a moment?
Okay.
For the rest of us, when it comes to harnessing our intuition, obviously we're not at a level where you're at, but how can we connect? How can we, let's say, I've been told before, hey, if you just meditate on it, think about, what you're trying to get an answer on. And eventually, if you're in the right space and you've blocked everything else out, you'll get that answer. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, for me, meditation is tricky, because when you meditate, you're thinking on something. Okay. Once you think on something, spiritually, spirits don't think. So then that might cause an obstacle, a barrier of some sort. And what you want to do is eliminate that. You're trying to actually clear your mind as much as possible so the spirit can come through and put the thoughts and the energy there for you. So as far as me telling someone to meditate, it's okay if they're not trying to get to a higher spiritual realm. It's okay. They can just stay where they're at. They're comfortable. They're
Hmm.
good. But I think if someone comes to me and I'm speaking with them and I know that they're trying to get to a higher spiritual level, they're going to have to clear that mind because there's no way you're going to get there. Because anytime you got to say, let me sleep on it, let me think about it, let me do this and this and that,
Yep.
that's all in the human aspect.
So what I'm gathering from you, and I've kind of felt this before, if you're looking for an answer, go with the first one that pops in your head. This whole thing that you just said, well, let me sleep on it. Let me, let it marinate for a while. No, no. All you're doing is letting this get in the way of all of this, the spiritual side of it, the
Right.
intuition, if you will. And you're just procrastinating. Meanwhile, if you were able to, and that's the question, if you were able to, and how do you focus or be open to receiving that message? And that's where I'm going. Like, how do you get to that point? Is it just a gut feeling? If you do you just say, all right, I need an answer. What's my answer? You get something that's your answer. And
Okay.
for the rest of us, that's what I'm saying.
All right. So let's say you do ask for something. All right. Just off the top. And so what you do at that point when you asked, you have to release it. You can't hold it. So if you're asking to go on vacation and that's what you want, you can't concentrate on going on the vacation tomorrow, the next day. You ask the spirit and then you got to let it go. So that way they'll carry it. They'll come back with a response to you. As long as you hold it, you're not going to get the answers that you need because you're in control of it. You're controlling it. So that spirit, you don't need spirits at that point in time because you're in charge of it. So let's say, just like you said originally, um, whatever pops into your head, that's your answer. You may not like it, but that is your answer because at that point in time, your spirit is clear. You're not thinking on anything. And then the answer comes. So let's say that you do start concentrating on something. How do you get there? This is where you got to sit. And I mean, you're going to sit with yourself. And you're going to find a nice, comfortable chair, a nice, comfortable room. You're going to bless that room, cleanse that room, do whatever you need to do. And you're going to meet spirit at a certain time every day. So if you like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're
Hmm.
going to go at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You don't have to sit long. You can sit for 15 minutes, but you're going to go to meet them. And so what's going to happen, you might not see anything, hear anything, and you sit there and you don't get anything, let's say.
Hmm.
So then the next day you go again because you got to get the discipline. And they have to know what your intention is because you did use that because they're going to know what your intention is. And so the more you go and you sit at 2 o'clock, the more they're going to respond to you. They're going to say, oh, he's serious or she's serious. So then they're going to meet with you and they'll meet in different ways with you. Either you'll start hearing the noises, or if you have a candle lit, the candle will start moving. If you have a light on, the light may go off. Um,
Hmm.
they're going to let you know that they're present at that point in time. So the
Wow.
more you go at the same time, the more you meet with them, then they'll come stronger for you. But spirit can't give you something that you're not ready for because it doesn't make sense.
Totally got that.
Yeah.
And I love this, the spiritual rendezvous, if you will, where it's just, set time every day, even 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's not a bad thing overall, just to have a spiritual moment within yourself. And what you said before, Donna, very impactful in that if you hold on to it, it's almost like the law of attraction, manifestation. If you keep saying it to yourself, I need a new car. I want a new car. I deserve a new car. This is hypothetical. And
Right.
every day, all you're doing is thinking about the car. And let's say, even if you're using the right language, instead of saying, I wish I had, well, some say, no, just you have it. I have that new car. It's arrived. I can smell it. I can feel. But what are you still doing? You're holding on to the thought as opposed to just letting it go. Just let.
Yeah, because and that's true because normally say you do need a new car. Say the car is like it's you just need a new car. It's 20 years old or whatever, okay? Don't you think spirit already knows you need that car?
One would think.
Yeah. So what you can do is just cast that petition out and say however you want to phrase it, I'm in need of a new car. And then just leave it out there. Some way or another, you may not think it may come the way that you may think it may come. Maybe you may not necessarily have to go into a dealership and get it, but you may have a family member that may say, I don't need this car any longer. And
Mhm.
bam, you got a car. So it doesn't always come the way that you're thinking it's going to come, but spirit will bring it.
Is it fair to assume what we're talking about here? Just don't keep pushing it. Just take it and throw it to the universe. I need a new universe. I need a new car. It's time. It's breaking down. I'm spending lots of money into it. I would appreciate you sending me a new car or the means to get one. And let it go, and that's it. Don't keep going back
Right.
to it. Is that what?
No. Yeah, because once you keep doing that, then it tells spirit that you don't need them. You don't need their help. You don't need their assistance. You just don't need them.
When you
So
really do.
why,
When you really do.
yeah. So why even ask? Because when you hold on to it, they're not going to touch it
Yeah.
because you got to release it. So that means there's a lot of struggle for a lot of people that hold on to things.
It's
They won't let go.
it's like having a friend who's a carpenter and you're talking to him saying, "Yeah, you know, this crown molding it's falling off the ceiling and I really, I could use some help doing it." And then the your friend shows up and you've already been on a ladder and you already hammered it in and you don't need them anymore. It's
True.
the same thing. Hmm.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. What
And
about,
you may have even did a better job than a carpenter.
when it comes to spirit, when it comes to spirit, I don't know about that. I'm my jury's still out on that one. Um, but when it comes to manifestation, what, do you believe in that? What you manifest, you receive, what you put out there?
Well, I do. I do believe in that because it's all spiritual. So if you throw something out into the ether, into the ectoplasm, and you release it and let it go, spirit's going to bring it to you. So if you want to call it, you manifest it, it's okay. But I do know that once you release it, they'll bring it.
Hmm.
It's just that you can't put a time element on it because that's the human aspect. Oh, I need it next week,
Right.
you know, so it may not happen.
Energy knows no space and time. Same thing, I'm sure, with spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Hmm. Any other thoughts in the territory that we're talking about now in asking for an answer, in asking, for something that you need?
Well, I don't try to go to religious aspects because I've dealt with people from all types of religions and different things like that.
Yeah.
But, part of the scripture tells you to ask and you will receive. But you got to ask. You
Right.
just don't get it. So I'm the type of person, if you ask and you release it, then you will receive it. But I have to say again, it may not be in the arena that you may think that you're going to receive it.
Right.
They'll bring it.
Might come in a different form, different shape, different span of time than you were expecting, right?
Right. But you will get it.
Well, I am a
So,
believer. I might have shared this with you before, that asking for signs. I ask for them, I
mhm,
get them. Haven't done it recently. I only ask when I need it. I don't want to be, I want to be a pig about it.
right.
Just when I feel I need it. And it's the same thing in pulling into a parking lot. I always manifest or ask the universe, however you want to phrase it. I could really use a space close by. I'm running late. If you could, if somebody needs it more than me, I will always put that in there, then give it to them. Let's say they're handicapped, whatever. If they need it more than me, then you give it to them, but I would appreciate it. I have to tell you, even in a crowded downtown city, more times than not, I pull in and there's a space. Might drive around once, there it is. How does that work? I don't know. But it seems like I would say 95% of the time that does work.
Well, see, that's your testimony. You know that it works.
I
I
do.
agree with you. Yeah, all you got to do is just ask, and you find the perfect parking place spot. It's just there waiting on you. So Spirit has opened those channels for you to get the perfect spot that you don't have to keep turning around and around. Some people, they may have them circle that parking lot maybe 10 times,
Right.
because I'm not saying that they don't deserve it, but just like you said, you only ask when there's a need. And that's very important.
I feel that way, and I'm all about do the right thing, and I don't believe that's the right thing if you ask for something you don't need. Hey, if we could all turn around right now and say, universe, uh, send me $1 million, make me win the lottery. Well, you know what? Do you really, really need it at this moment? Would it be great to have? Well, yeah, but is it something that you need? If it's going to happen, if it's meant to be, the universe will give it to you. It'll give it to you.
That's
Uh,
true.
but could do you absolutely have to have that parking space? No, it wouldn't be nice if it's there. But again, who needs it more, truly needs it more, then give it to them. I know that's all good. Because one time last summer, I was pulling into a crowded area, manifested, and there was a guy pulling next to me. And at that same moment, two spaces opened up. None were available. And I look at him and he had his family with him. And I'm like, pick the one you want, you know, enjoy your night. And roll down the window and it was all good. And it's, he and I both got spaces and it just kind of worked out that way. If he needed it more than me, great. But two appeared right when I had met just after I manifested it. Yeah.
Right.
How about your
Well, it
test?
was meant for you to receive that.
How
Oh, I
about
have a
you?
lot of them.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, just like what you were speaking about, I've things have taken place and I don't have an order for anything, but just like you were talking about the parking space, like I wasn't feeling that well. And I'm a type of person, I don't like to park near the entranceway. I like to walk because I want to make sure that I'm able to continue to walk. I don't want to be disabled. I don't want to
Mhm.
uh, so I'll take a far away parking space because I always keep in the perspective that possibility I may not be able to walk one day. And so I don't park close by because I feel like a lot of people need to exercise. And the reason that they can't get out the chairs is because they don't like to move. And so that would keep me with from my spiritual gift because the thing about having a spiritual gift, you almost have to be like 300% in order to channel that energy. So that means that if I have a weakness somewhere, it may be a little bit more difficult or I may have less energy to do that. So I'm very in tune to that. So
Hmm.
my testimony would be that I don't take anything for granted. I don't really get excited about anything. I'm that type of person. If I receive it, I thank God for it. If I don't, I still thank God for it because I feel like this. He knows what I need. He operates. He's in control of me. So, in other words, I don't look at myself. I'm always grateful for the higher powers that work with me because they know what I need. They know what I want because I put those petitions up. And sooner or later, because I am like I am, I may not get mine overnight. Mine may take a little bit longer because I have to keep those prayers there. I have to keep those petitions up. So
What you
that
said
would be
a moment ago, Donna, I think is
mhm.
so huge, and that is be thankful when you get it.
Yes,
So many of us don't. We're not grateful. It's like,
right.
hey, great, yeah, that was meant to be. Well, maybe not. You should thank the universe for it, or whoever you feel it came
Yeah.
from, divine,
Hmm.
whatever it may be. But that needs to be in there. I totally feel that way. Uh, how do I know that you coach people on these things? You talk with people on these things. How do we reach you? What's the best way?
Well, my website is www.spiritualistdonnaedwards.com. You can email me at spiritualistdonna@gmail.com, or you can call me at 888-424-6980.
Great talking with you today. We all will be mindful of the full moon in another 2 days.
Yes,
I think more than ever this time I'm going to be watching. Maybe on guard. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but sometimes maybe you got to be aware of those kind of things.
right. But just put your petition up.
Fair enough.
Yeah, see what happens.
And I have a candle right here uh, that somebody gave me that I hardly ever use, and I think I'm going to use that based on what you just said.
Well, that'll be nice.
Yeah, Donna,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Okay. And thank you, Steve.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.